I think what drew me to it really, I think it was a love of cinema and being sort of entranced by the buzz you could get from seeing a really good film and coming out on the street afterwards, and somehow the whole world was brighter and more exciting than when you went in. I'd always been interested in photography, and I've always taken photographs since I was 8 or 9 years old. I had some kind of a camera. And I've always loved cinema. And you know, I would typically on a Sunday night when I was a student, we would go and see a double feature at the local repertory house. You know, it might be 2 Truffaut movies, or Once Upon a Time in the West and Once Upon a Time in America. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Or 2 zombie movies even. So I love the cinema, but it never occurred to me that there was the possibility of being a filmmaker in New Zealand, because we didn't have a film industry at all when I was growing up. And then around about the mid-70s, when filmmaking really took off in Australia, New Zealand, which is, you know, just across the water from us, we looked to our Australian cousins and sort of went, well, if they're doing it, why aren't we? And various people like Roger Donaldson and others in New Zealand started to make feature films around about 1976, 1977. And suddenly there was an industry where there hadn't been before. And that was around about the time I finished university. So I had a couple of friends who had started working in film, one who became an assistant editor at the National Film Unit, and another who worked on Roger Donaldson's film Sleeping Dogs. Because I'd been fascinated by the editing process in my own film, I thought I wanted to be an editor. And I went to Australia for 6 or 7 months and tried to get a job as an assistant editor. Didn't work out, ended up driving a taxi. And then I came back to New Zealand, and through friends got the opportunity to work as a PA driver, helper on a small New Zealand film that was being made in Auckland. As I like to say, I was unemployed, interested, and therefore available, and cheap. And that's how I got started. And on that film, I actually spent some time helping the gaffer, Warwick Atwell, who didn't have any crew at all. He was on his own. So I became his helper, and I learned a little bit about that. And because there really weren't too many qualified technicians, I became a gaffer well before I really knew anything about it. As a result, I learned on the job, and I learned very quickly. And I had the opportunity to work with some fantastic cameramen. They were all men in those days. An important festival for young filmmakers. I would like to see more of the films than I have so far. I've so far seen half of a film. That was Days to Come, the opening film, but I had to leave, unfortunately, earlier. I would be happy to do more than I'm doing at the moment. If I came back again, I would suggest maybe doing more than 1 class or something. So maybe, you know. But I also am planning to spend some time on the beach, so that's okay too.